All right, welcome back to the channel. So Jermall Charlo clowns David Benavidez a little bit and said, "Hey man, you want me to go get that belt? I'll make that belt. I'll take that belt, and I won't miss weight." Let's talk about Jermall Charlo and David Benavidez in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I get to talk about two of my favorite fighters between the weights of 60 and 168 pounds. And that is Jermall Charlo, the WBC 160-pound champion, and David Benavidez, the former, I can't believe I'm saying this again because he's a former, right? He's currently the former, but he's been former twice, WBC champion, but he lost his belts in very disheartening fashion. In the first time David Benitez lost his WBC title, he lost it to cocaine. I don't know what he was doing, obviously, when he was snorting cocaine or doing what he's doing with cocaine. However, tested positive for cocaine, lost his belt, right? Next thing, he's fighting this last weekend. First fight coming back from the pandemic. He misses weight in his fight against Angulo this weekend. Loses his belt on the scale. Comes in, looks fantastic in the fight. Just massacres Angulo. But bye-bye goes the belt, right? Now, Jermall Charlo, who is the 160-pound WBC champion, got on Instagram and was responding to questions that people were sending at him. And he says, "Hey, you want me to go get that belt? I'll go pick up that WBA. I'll pick up the WBC 168-pound belt. And if I win it, I'm not gonna miss weight, and I'm going to continue to hold the belt," right? Obviously a slap in the face at David Benitez, who was clearly showing, you know what? Let me put it this way. It's reasonable to assume that this dude doesn't have the most discipline in the world. I personally am not as hard on David Benitez as some other people because I think David Benitez is a kid. You know, David Benitez is 23 years old now. The first time he lost his belt, he might have been 21, right? So, I mean, he's a young guy. He's got a lot of time to develop in the sport of boxing. This time that he missed weight, you know, I would assume that over the next couple months, as more and more fights happen during the pandemic, that you might see an unusually high amount of people missing weight. Or what you're going to see is what like Shakur Stevenson did when he fought his last fight, which is not put his title on the line, and for that one fight, have a fight at above his weight class, and so he doesn't have to worry about missing weight. So, for example, in this fight with David Benitez, you know, if David Benitez had any worry about whether or not he was going to make weight, you know, he could have went to the WBC and said, "Hey, for this particular fight, I don't want to put my fight on the line because I don't know if I'm going to be able to really, train the way that I need to train because of this pandemic. Can I have a non-title fight against this dude, and then the next fight it'll be a title fight?" When against a guy like Angulo, he probably could have accomplished that. But hindsight is 2020. Didn't he miss weight? And now for the second time, he loses his belt outside of the ring. Now, as far as Jermall Charlo going up there to get that, I think that's going to be a little bit difficult. And this is just my my guess here. Because knowing the WBC wants Benavidez get that belt back. That would be my belief. David Benitez, first of all, he's a special talent, in my estimation. There's a lot of people that talk about whether or not Caleb Plant can beat him and all of this. Man, look, dude, maybe Caleb Plant can get him. But maybe not. David Benitez if David Benitez can cut the ring off on Caleb Plant, he's going to beat Caleb Plant. If Caleb Plant has to fight David Benitez, he's going to lose David Benitez unless he's got some extra pops on his shot that I don't know about, But that's just my take. Caleb Plant, however, right now has to be considered. Well, he is considered by me to be the top 168-pounder because until I see David Benitez be able to make 168 again, I'm going to have to wonder. However, David Benitez said that he's going to be staying at 168 pounds. So I wouldn't expect, it's not going to be that easy to get, because the WBC most likely is going to give David Benavidez another shot at that title, right? The first time he lost his belt to cocaine, after that, I think he might have had, was that when he had the issues with his promotional issues with his promoter, or whatever the case was? He got another shot. And if he stays at 168, he's going to get another shot again, because the WBC, I've not seen the WBC, and whether or not they come out with the we support David Benavidez, we just believe that, this is a minor error. I'm surprised they stripped him. That's how much lack of faith I have in the WBC's integrity as it goes, as far as it concerns the enforcement of their rules. So David Benavidez is going to get another shot at the WBC 168-pound belt. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't just order a rematch next week between the two of them to give the guy another shot at the belt, or they just because the dude got knocked out. So I don't know why they would order that fight again. But the next fight that they're going to have, they're going to order David Benavidez to fight for that belt. Now, if Jermall Charlo wants to move up and challenge David Benavidez for the 168-pound WBC belt, I think that would be a great fight, and I would love to see it. But that ain't no easy fight for Jermall Charlo either. David Benavidez is a big dude and very, very talented, man. Like, very talented, an underestimated amount of talent for that dude. Like, even like when I'm looking at Caleb Plant, I think we talked about this in OG Boxing Talk, where people are like, Caleb Plant is much more disciplined. He's much more settled in his life. And I think, and obviously, that is the case. But why would that be the case? I think, with looking at these two dudes, it's pretty much easy to see why Caleb Plant might be significantly more disciplined than David Benavidez is. First, Caleb Plant's a lot older. Caleb Plant has already been, if he wasn't married once already, right? He's been married. So this is his second marriage, right? He's also had a very difficult time with the loss of a child early in his career, or very early in his career, or before his career started. But he's had the loss of a child. He's had relationships problems. His mother has had all kind of problems. His mother had problems. Like, I'm not going to go into all of that, but just Caleb Plant has had a rough life, man. And when you have a rough life and you turn to the sport of boxing, and that's what is getting you out of that particular situation, and you have more time, you get more mature. But now David Benavidez has been in this situation, right? David Benavidez, similar to Errol Spence Jr. David Benavidez has now been in a situation where he has lost his belt twice because of actions related to him. Now, if that doesn't get you right, like the first time, shame on them, right? Like, man, you just made a mistake, right? Cocaine, what does cocaine really got to do with, how's that a performance-enhancing drug out of competition anyway? Whatever. You can find some way to brush that off in your own mind. But then you miss weight. Now you're looking like a perennial F-up, okay? At the point in time when you start getting a reputation of being a perennial F-up, you're going to have to decide whether or not you're going to fix that or not. And so David Benavidez, who's still, like I said, he's still 21 years old, or still 23 years old, has the opportunity to fix that, and I would not be surprised at all if he did. And if he does, I don't think anybody at 168 pounds really wants to see that dude. And when he gets to 175 pounds, dog, I know Arthur Beterbiev is a great fighter, very strong fighter. 2 years from now at 175 pounds, dude, David Benavidez all day. 2 years from now, a 25, 26-year-old David Benavidez at 175 pounds over fighting Bivol. David Benavidez all day. I really believe he's that level of talent. However, in order to maximize his talent, dog, he's got to stop with all of this ridiculous stuff, and he's got to branch out his game a little bit, right? And because right now, dude, he's just mopping dudes, man. He's mopping dudes with game plan A. That's why, like people were saying that that in the fight against Anthony Durrell, that Anthony Durrell was winning some rounds, and until that cut happened, right? Nah. the longer that fight was going on, the more David Benavidez was stepping on the gas on Anthony Durrell. And I like Anthony Durrell, but nah, dude, he wasn't about to win that fight, man. Same thing goes for any of those Caleb Plant. It's tough. It's tough. But back to Jermall Charlo. That's why I'm not sure if I want to see Jermall Charlo in there with him, man. I think he just might be too big for Jermall Charlo. But it'd be a great fight. And now Jermall Charlo, Caleb Plant, Jermall Charlo versus those guys like Callum Smith. Dude, Jermall Charlo going to beat Callum Smith. Jermall Charlo is going to beat Billy Joe Saunders. The only question is Caleb Plant. Is it Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, or Jermall Charlo? I don't think that Canelo Alvarez is looking to fight any of those guys. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.